Call Haloyamla, Yahapwa, Bahasham, Yahapushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash, Brakata Yahapwa, Brakata Yahapushai, Brakata Racha Kodash, Bahasham, Yahapushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Shalom to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akim, Wa Akwath, Shalom. I just wanted to make a quick video going into a recent bill process that's going on. The Senate right here just typed in daylight savings bill passed, and it says, did the law pass for daylight savings time? So right here it says the United States is now one step closer to making daylight saving time permanent, a move that has long been talked about but never put in place. But what exactly will the change mean, and what still needs to happen? And then in bold right here it says the Senate unanimously passed legislation Tuesday that would end the changing of clocks. So, um, so, so the Senate, not one person, denied it or declined it. So what they're doing is they're trying to have more time in the sun, more fun in the sun. They're trying to extend the days as much as possible, and they're trying to save the time. Because in that phrase, daylight savings time, they're trying to save daylight. They're trying to save the days. They're trying to save the hours, the minutes, the seconds, because they know that their time is short. A man of the Lord, they want this kingdom to end so that because time is on the elect side, because they're going to rule under the commandments of the Most High, Yahweh, and under the rulership of his only begotten Son, his right arm extension, Yahweh Shai, forever and ever, even forever. So time is not something that we are concerned with, the hopeful elect. Lord willing, I'm of that number, and the sincere brothers and sisters, joining in, listening to this video. So like the time is not of a concern, because the Lord made the world for our sakes, for the Israelites' sakes, not the heathen. And the heathen know this because it's encapsulated in the statue in the book of Daniel, the statue Revelation, the statue vision, and the vision of the four beasts. Those four beasts represented four heathen nations rulerships. So that shows you that they all had a set time, a temporary time to reign. And then the statue as well, four different metals, gold, silver, brass, and iron. And then at the bottom of the feet, and the bottom of the statue was the feet, the clay and the iron mixed together. That's the NATO and EU. NATO is the NATO, stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is the modern day Roman, which is America, linked up with the clay, which is the weaker nations that gave their power into the beast, which is America, ancient Rome revised, ancient Rome, resurrected. So, so the white man, so-called white man, Esau Edom, knows that his time is short. Therefore, he's doing everything. He's so concerned with time. That's why he has a thing called what? A doomsday clock, trying to make the people think that that's when the earth is going to explode, or there's going to be a cataclysmic event that's going to destroy mankind like the dinosaurs. Only thing that's going to happen is the Messiah returning to take down the Edomite cave beast out of power forever. And then Yahweh's going to set up Yahweh's going to set up his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, King David, and the apostles, and the rest of the 144,000 and the elect. And in the end, ultimately, all Israel will be set up, because the 2/3 are going to be cut off and have to perish in the fire and flames here, and all the other judgments leading up to that fire. And then they're going to come back into the kingdom of heaven later through the loins of the 1/3, populating the kingdom of heaven, because it's going to be, reproducing and reproduction in the kingdom age, and repopulating the nation of Israel through the remnant 1/3 seed of the elect. So Esau, he knows that his time is short. This is yet another example proving who Esau Edom is, changing the time and the laws, and changing the likeness of the images of the Most High, his only begotten Son, the angels, and the saints who are the Israelites. So we'll go ahead and touch on some precepts and go ahead and close out. So the first book to go to is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7, verse 20, chapter 25, verse 7, Salaki, Daniel 7 and 25. Salakia means excuse me or forgive me. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words, and that's pride. He shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. He kills us in the streets and holds himself not guilty. Zechariah 11 and 5. The Israelites, he does. Esau Edom. And think to change times and laws. That's the point. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time. So this goes into a set period of time that's permanent, that's not going to change. It's got permanent set temporary time frame that he will be ruling, and that he will be proud and blaspheming the Most High and destroying his the apple of his eye. As the scriptures say, precious in the sight of the Most High is the death of the saints, his chosen. So he's killed a lot of the Most High saints in his eyes and right in front of him, because the angels have been recording everything since the beginning. And the Most High has a very, very righteous indignation of fury that he's going to unleash upon these people for their wickedness and blasphemies against him, his only begotten Son, and his saints, the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. From there, we'll go ahead and go to we'll go ahead real quick, get First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 48. First Maccabees, what is that? 3 and 48, and it reads, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So that's that Renaissance iconoclasm. Iconoclasm is when you destroy the spiritual images of another nation, chiefly the Israelites. He destroyed the images, he whitewashed everything, and blasphemed the Most High and all of the heritage of the Israelites and his only begotten Son, Yahushua, the Messiah. So he changes everything because he has no culture. So he has to come in. He comes in and tries to destroy everyone else and cover it up and lie and deceive. So from there, Job 14, verses 4 through 5. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. So we know everything that Esau Edom, so-called white man, produces is unclean. It's an abomination. Look at Hollywood. Look at the music industry, television, radio, internet, every medium of communication. It's all unclean, and it pollutes the minds and brains of all the simple people that follow. I said simples, but the simpletons that follow the unclean ways and deception of the serpent. Verse 5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds, that's that he cannot pass. That's a boundary. So the Most High has a set boundary of rulership that he gave. That's why, you had the statues. That's a bounds that the Most High set when he gave Daniel those visions. That was the that was the going forth of the bounds set that the Most High put every heathen nation in a box of a set time of rulership that they would have. And when you look at the statue, half of it is the Edomite reign. So Esau Edom, so-called white man, has reigned more than any other heathen nation, from the Greeks to the Romans, all the way, and then he fell down for 1,000 years in the caves when he called it the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages. That's just when he fell out of power from the Romans rulership around 300 AD. In 1,000 years, he came out around 13 to 1400 BC. And then Columbus around 1492, they attacked over here in the so-called Americas and attacked the Northern Kingdom. You know, the so-called Puerto Ricans, so-called Mexicans, South Americans, Brazil, all throughout there. When you look at the map, look at South America, that's all the Northern Kingdom. And North America with the so-called Indians, the Gadites and the Reubenites. So that's that bound set right here. The Most High said he set a bound. He set an appointed bounds, meaning a set time, and that he cannot pass. When the Most High says whatever, when the Most High says something, it's of a surety and it's definitive, and it will never be changed. So he has his sentence of rulership, and that's it. And then that's why Esau, he's trying to get as much time in the sun, trying to bottle up as much seconds and time as he can, because he's trying to extend it beyond that bounds. He's doing his best to try to circumvent and try to uproot those prophecies that the Most High has set in place. And the Most High say, who can make that straight what the Most High made crooked? So when the Most High said something, it will never ever be changed unless he wanted to, but it won't. You know, especially when it comes with these heathens ruling, destroying his beautiful earth that he created. From there, we'll go to Luke chapter 16 and verse 26. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed that goes into a great gap, like a Grand Canyon sized gap between the Israelites and the Edomites. So this story of the rich man and the poor man, this was a representation, you know, Lazarus and the rich man. This was a representation of the Israelites, the poor man right now. We're the poor man, and the rich man are the Edomites. Proud, arrogant, don't give us anything. And so now, in these times to come, Salaki, give me 1 minute. Okay, Salaki, just had to go ahead and hit the do not disturb on the phone, so I won't get any kind of interruptions. But back to what I was saying. So Lazarus and the rich man, that's a representation of Israel and Esau. The Israelites, it's a great gulf fixed in between us. So, and beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, a massive gap, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us, that they would come from thence. So we can't go over there to them, they can't come over here to us. It's a great difference, and it's a great difference between us. And that brings up Genesis chapter 25 and verse 23. Okay, still recording, cool. 25:23. And the Lord Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai said unto Rebekah, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So the Israelites, when you look at the sports, we dominate over them. We dominate everything, even, you know, with the inventions, mentally, spiritually, intellectually, physically, we dominate and are stronger and better than so-called white people, the Edomites. And so, and then the elder shall serve the younger, meaning in the end, because Esau was the older brother, he came out first. And then Esau came out first, Jacob came out second, he's the younger. So the elder, Esau, so-called white man, is going to serve the younger, the Israelites. That hasn't happened. It's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven forever and ever. And that's the judgment. So from there, we'll go to Revelations 20:3. And cast him into the bottomless pit, that's Europe, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. That's a short period of time. So Europe, that's that bottomless pit. He was cast up in Europe When I just talked about it, when Rome fell in 300 AD, and that was the Dark Ages for the so-called white man that called it the Renaissance. He called it the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages, the medieval times. But he was shut up in that bottomless pit in the caves of Europe. He came out of the caves of Mount Georgia, Russia, the Caucasus Mountains, around 1300s, 1400s. And he got pushed up in there, and he came out. And then the Most High, for 1,000 years, he was bound in there, and because he was deceiving all the nations, and he stopped. And deception stopped when he got cast into that bottomless pit in Europe in them caves. And then after that, he came out. After those 1,000 years was up, he came out, and he loosed a little season that's called the Renaissance. And so that's the Renaissance. He's out, and he's wreaking havoc again, destroying it all. Iconoclasm we just went into when he was destroying the spiritual images and just desecrating and destroying everything, and continuing until this day. He's just a cancer. All he can do is destroy. He don't know how to. He don't know how to bound it. He don't know how to bind things up. He don't know how to fix anything. All he does is destroy, colonize, and make himself like he's the Most High, or like he's descending, like he's like the Most Highs of his people. When the Most High has cursed them with that leopard skin, where the sun will give them cancer if they out too long or burn their skin. So from there we'll go to Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the other. So, excuse me. Before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Now, let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll break that down real quick. So consider the horns. Horns represents kings, rulerships, kingdoms. So, and behold, there came up among these horns them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. So that means that they were overthrown. So in the Americas, before America became America, over here in this area, in the Western Hemisphere, there were three specific nations that had dug their roots into the soils over here. One was Spain. First was Spain with the Columbus. He was the first one. He quote unquote discovered America that was already occupied, but that's another story. Spain, France, and Britain. So there were three wars: the Spanish-American War, the French-American War, and the Revolutionary War, or the American Revolutionary War. Basically was the American Britain War. So America went to war with all those three horns and plucked them all up, because all of those three nations had land over here. That's why you heard that thing called the Louisiana Purchase. Napoleon, the French, had all of Louisiana and some other areas, I believe. They had that land. They got plucked up. They purchased it from them, but they went to war also with France and with Spain, France, and Great Britain. And America emerged. That little horn emerged after plucking those three up, and they became the quote unquote United States of America. So that's how those three horns got plucked up. And then finishing this verse, and behold, in this horn, in this government, in this rulership, were eyes like the eyes of man, let you know that these are people, and the mouth speaking great things. Those great things again goes into that pride, speaking against the Most High and the Messiah, the angels, and the Israelites and the heritage. And that's just for a little season. That little horn representing a little, again, that's like a little bit of time, because when you look at it, the Declaration of Independence was what? July 4th, 1776. So that's that short space. That's that little horn, that little bit of time that let loose the little season. From the Renaissance, multiple Edomite nations. They're all Edomites, but different ones came over here and put their roots down here in the Western Hemisphere. But then that little horn emerged through Great Britain because it was a part of the Great Britain rulership. And then the America formed because Britain wouldn't give the 13 colonies any say-so in the government back over there across the pond, they call it, and over there in Europe, over there in Great Britain. So the 13 colonies was run by Britain, but then the people over here in the 13 colonies didn't have any representation in the Britain government over there in Europe. And then Britain was taxing the 13 colonies over here, and they didn't like that. They were getting taxed, and then they didn't have any kind of representation in the government. So that's what that whole no taxation without representation is. They didn't have representation in the government, so they didn't want no taxation. And then they ended up plucking up Britain as well. And then that's that little horn, and they emerged from the Britain rulership. They're just an extension of the Britain Empire, but they broke off from the Britons. But they still cool with them to this day though. So when we go from there, let's go to Revelation 17 and 10. And there are 7 kings that goes into the 7 kingdoms of the ancient Edomite empires: Greece, Rome, up until the Britons. So Greece, Rome, Spain, France, Germania Major, Germania Minor. That's the Europe areas, and Great Britain, if I'm saying them all correctly right now off the top of my head. But this isn't a lesson to go into that too deep. Just want to kind of touch on it. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, here's the point I wanted, he must continue a short space. So that was America that was going to come, and he must continue that short space. And the beast that's the Roman beast. That's the 4th beast, the ancient Roman Empire that died in around 300 AD. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th. And how is he the 8th? Well, let me finish reading out. And is of the 7. So the 7th, that's the 7th one. The 7th is the Great Britain, the British rulership, the 13 colonies, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition, go into destruction, going into sin. So, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th. So that's the Roman Empire. The ancient Roman Empire died in around 300 AD. The spirit of that beast is the 8th. How? Through Babylon the Great, so-called America. The spirit of Rome with the Senate and Congress, the same way the Romans were. That's how they're the 8th. And they're of the 7 because, like I just explained, the little horn is of Britain. They were Britons, but they broke off and became and changed. They always changing their names. And when they plucked up the Britons from over here and became the United States through that war, they're just Britons that just defected and then became Americans. That's how they're of the 7. Britain is the 7th of those 7 heads of that beast. And so the spirit of that beast is now over here being housed by the Americas, so-called Americas, the Western Hemisphere, Babylon the Great. So that's that on that. But that's that little space. So it's just showing you, because the Declaration of Independence was around 1776 of July 4th. And that's only about 240 years, 250 years. Well, not 50, but let me see. 200 years is 1976, another 24, then another like 20. So it's a good 245 years since. So that's that little space that so Esau knows this. He's all about time, and he's all about working 7 days a week nonstop, getting his money, riches, storing up as much as he can, greedy, because he know he got a short time. He doing the best he can to live it up while he can, and while he can live in the sun right now, and trying to extend these days and extend these times. Yeah, so with that, that's about it on that. But yeah, so-called white man Esau Edom, he's doing it. He's trying to pass a permanent daylight savings time. He won't ever, um, it won't ever go. We won't have to watch our clocks anymore. It won't jump forward anymore. It won't fall back anymore. He just wanted to stay like this, where he can have as much time, trying to save as much daylight and time and hours and seconds as much as he can. A man that knows that the spiritual men, the Israelites, we know that the kingdom of heaven is forever. So we're not worried about time. That's incredible to think about, because it must suck to know that your rulership is for a set period of time. And then you can see why he said, well, if I'm not going to rule for only a set amount of time, I have no reason to try to preserve anything. That's why he destroys. And that's part of the reason why he's destructive. But it's in his DNA to be a polluting animal, So his time is short. His time is running out. He knows it, and this just further proves, further evidence that he is Esau Edom and that his rulership is about to end. So with that being said, I hope this video was edifying. The water to the Ruach Kodash, the Holy Spirit, through Yahweh Shai, blessing me to receive the Holy Spirit to make a video. Hopefully it's edifying. Till next video, I say, Shalom.